Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Off the Top on Truth to Power. Kyle, let Truth Nation know what you got to get off your chest today.
Truth Nation, okay, so we all heard the headlines, we all heard the stories. The federal funding freeze. Breaking news, President Trump signed a executive order that had a federal funding freeze that was supposed to be enacted or go into action at 5 p.m. yesterday, Eastern Standard Time. And it threw stuff into chaos. It threw a lot of people into a frenzy. And again, yesterday when I heard about it, I was like, all right, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. What they said is not going to affect them things. So let's just chill and let's just kind of see how this works out. Because I, for one, do believe that there are areas that we can clean up federal funding. I feel like we can scale back some of the spending. Now, what I don't like is that a lot of this scaled back federal spending that we have is going to go towards tax breaks that impact businesses to bring their corporate tax rate down to 15% and reduce the tax burden that literally people who make over $450,000 have per year and reduce their tax burden while not really impacting our tax burden for those who make significantly less than that or just less than that. So that's the beef I do have with it, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. And to be honest, Truth Nation, when it comes to this federal funding freeze, I don't know what to believe. I really don't, because when I look at it and I listen to it, the Trump administration yesterday, their White House secretary, press secretary, she said, hey, listen, Social Security, if you're on that, you're not going to be impacted. Okay, that's good. Medicare, if you're on that, you're not going to be impacted. Those who are getting food stamps, you're not going to be impacted. So I said, okay. That's good, because that impacts people on a day-to-day. They also said people who are on welfare, they aren't going to be impacted. That is what the White House press secretary said. So with that, I believed what she said. I mean, I what else am I supposed to do? If she says it, then I guess I'm supposed to believe it. But then later on, I find out that what she said was not 100% true, because we ran into some issues where people did lose access to different things. There were 20 states who indeed did lose access to their Medicare reimbursement system. Matter of fact, the state of Wisconsin is one of the states that lost access temporarily to their Medicare reimbursement system. So what I don't understand is, how did you say that Medicare wasn't going to be impacted, but now Medicare actually was impacted where people were locked out their system? See, I just think there's a lot of incompetence going on. And I know the governor, J.B. Pritzker from Illinois, talked about what his state felt yesterday and what other states felt yesterday about this federal funding freeze that has a stay right now. A U.S. federal court judge in D.C. put a stay on it, so they have until Monday to figure out what's going to happen. But the Trump administration lied. They did. They weren't honest. And they're actually just a complete mess, and they threw things into chaos. And J.B. Pritzker had some thoughts and comments about how his state and other states were impacted by this federal funding freeze.
What the White House press secretary said at the podium earlier, I believe it is my duty to report to you the truth of what actually happened today in Illinois. Donald Trump's administration is lying to you. The White House's attempt to walk back what they did today does not match what we saw on the ground. They assured us that Medicaid would not be affected. That was a lie. Our state agencies were unable to access the Medicaid system until an hour ago, preventing payments for services. And this has been reported from states across the nation. When we reached out to federal agencies, they informed us that they have been directed not to discuss any guidance with states. They have canceled previously scheduled meetings for this week. The White House assured us that Head Start would not be affected. That was a lie. Providers across the state experienced outages, and some were unable to make their payroll. They assured us that they were doing nothing to take away individual assistance from the most vulnerable people in our state, but they refused to say that they would restore LIHEAP, the Low-Income Housing Energy Assistance Program, payments to support the unemployment system, and Meals on Wheels. These are programs that hundreds of thousands of Illinoisans depend on: children, seniors, veterans, working parents. Let's just be clear about what happened over the last 24 hours. At 7:42 p.m. last night, we saw a memo from the White House saying that they were pausing federal funding across the board. This morning, along with all 50 states across the country, we discovered that our ability to access critical federal funding had been cut off. And now the administration would like us to believe that these were just coincidental website outages. Donald Trump and his administration have not earned the benefit of the doubt. They are either lying to us or they are critically incompetent.
See, he said it best, because I wanted to give this administration the benefit of the doubt. It's only been 9 days. It's been less than 2 weeks. But again, have they earned that? And I think the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and get to know that name, he's going to be a candidate for the 2028 presidential election. He said it best. He said it absolutely best, because what we saw yesterday was a complete debacle. How is it that people have lost access to things that are important? You're talking about Head Start, which helps educate young children. You're talking about Medicaid that helps, keep people healthy. You're talking about funding that can impact states, right? I think people don't understand what this federal funding actually goes to. Y'all got to understand, we see construction on 4394. That is federal funding. You see housing developments here in Milwaukee. That is federal funding. Some of y'all know people that get energy assistance, right? So you are able to stay warm and pay your bills so your lights don't go off, your heat don't go out, or in the summer, I guess your AC don't go out. Energy assistance, that is federal funding. You see grants to help the homeless get housed. You see grants that help women who are going through domestic violence situations get out those situations and get housed in different places. Those are all federally funded grants, dollars. And those were frozen yesterday. Things that actually impact people were frozen yesterday. So I cannot give them the benefit of the doubt when they are that sloppy. That's what that is that is being extremely sloppy. And to be honest, this is complete incompetence. I mean, this is a failure on the Trump administration to administer this executive order properly. Because what we saw yesterday is we saw Americans. Yes, we saw Americans have to go without for at least 1 minute and for hours. For at least 1 minute, American was negatively impacted by the incompetence of the Trump administration for freezing federal funds and not being able to describe or particularly roll out the plan successfully. People yelled and screamed about how when the affordable health care, also known as Obamacare, was rolled out and there were issues. But with those issues, that was sign-up issues. That was website crashing issues. What we're talking about is issues of agencies not being able to have funds. And y'all think this might just be this is national. No, this is local as well. An organization here in Wisconsin called Wisconsin Balance of State, COC. They released something about an hour ago that said earlier this week, the White House directed the Office of Management and Budget to order all federal agencies to temporarily block activities associated with the obligations and disbursements of all grants, loans, and other financial assistance by 5 p.m. Tuesday, January 28th. As of 1/29, today, for this organization at 8:45 a.m., they are still unable to access the portal to access funding for homeless programs. Homeless programs, what in the hell are we doing? This ain't what we voted for, or y'all voted for, or some people voted for. We didn't vote for homeless people to not have access to funds within a span of 24 hours. We didn't vote for American citizens to be treated like second-class citizens. This is not what we looked for. This is not what we voted for. This does not build America. This is not America at its finest. See, I would like to be optimistic about all of this, but it's hard. It really is hard to be optimistic because I know deep down we have to be concerned. We've seen this before. And honestly, act number 2 has been worse. Nothing has been done to uplift our day-to-day lives so far. This was a complete mess. A complete mess. And I'm telling y'all, living in the city of Milwaukee, I know what incompetence looks like because I see it every day coming out of City Hall. Incompetence. So understanding, I just want y'all to get this. They were going to put a federal freeze on funding starting at 5 p.m. yesterday, but they told us it would not impact Medicare. It would not impact food stamps. It would not impact welfare. But indeed, it did impact different states in their ability to successfully do their job to help people. We're talking about things that help people. So we need to be very, very mindful of this. But also, I want y'all to understand is that when I think about some of this funding, right, there is something called the Educational Opportunity Program, EOP. We have EOP at UW Milwaukee, also a strong EOP at Marquette University, and EOP is across this country. The Educational Opportunity Program helps provide education, right, a reduced tuition to students of color to attend many universities. So universities depend on this funding to help diversify their student population and provide potential opportunities for those who don't have the wherewithal to fund an education, those who work their ass off, those who pulled themselves by the bootstrap under the age of 18 to get good grades, to apply to college, and to think about their future. That's what they tell these kids to do. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and that's what those kids did. But EOP is a federally funded program that tries to get black and brown students to go to college. EOP is under attack, and guess what? EOP is a DEI program in their eyes. Diversity, equity, inclusion at universities. And guess who may see their funding cut? EOP. So now if EOP gets cut, now you have students who are enrolled at universities who are getting tuition who may have their money ripped away from them. Or students who are juniors in high school, sophomore in high school, seniors in high schools who want to apply to these different institutions and who are in the process of going through the scholarship process to earn a scholarship to go to Marquette, to go to NYU, to go to these different places with the Educational Opportunity Program, and that might be ripped from them. You cannot just stop funding at the drop of a dime. You cannot do that to human beings. But you cannot do that to young black students. You have to understand what is happening. At some point, somebody needs to speak up. Because again, I don't know all the details when it comes to this federal funding freeze. And I don't think the Trump administration knows all the details of when it comes to this federal funding freeze, because they specifically told us these things wouldn't be impacted, but then we find out that these things are impacted. The fact that homeless people in the state of Wisconsin, as of this morning, the people that assist them did not have access to the funds to help them is asinine. It's ridiculous. And I don't give a damn who you voted for. You could vote for Trump. You could have voted for Biden. You could have voted for the Green Party. Hell, you could have voted for Harambe. I don't care who you voted for. But this right here, this is about human decency. I don't care if you're going to freeze federal funds, but you have to roll it out in the proper way, a way that makes sense. Yesterday was ridiculous and pure incompetence. A 12-year-old, a group of 12-year-olds could have looked at a plan and could have executed a plan better than these adults in the White House. They don't know what they are doing. They have not a clue what they are doing. They're just throwing stuff at a wall, just hoping it all works out. So y'all better get prepared, Truth Nation. I'm telling y'all this right now. Y'all better get prepared, because this is only the beginning. They are coming for a lot of things, and they just showed you a little glimmer, a little glimpse. They showed you that they gonna come for y'all healthcare. They showed you. They're going to come for Head Start, which is allowing for 3K students to go to school, which we complain that MPS messed up and lost the funding for, which I'm mad about that. But now imagine states across this country losing that funding. They going to come for us being able to house the homeless. They going to come for vouchers. Hell, there are people who make money, who make a living off helping others who have a grant-funded program that they work for that may lose their jobs. What are we doing? Now is the time to speak up. And I'm telling y'all this right now. When it comes to the Educational Opportunity Program, I'll be damned if they pull that away. Because there are way too many kids here in Milwaukee who are benefiting from that. There are way too many kids who are going on to do great things after they get done with that program. 833-212-1017. Had to just get that off my chest.